Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, coming to you on a holiday Monday in the U.S. It's Martin Luther King Day, and so there's tons of sports happening today. They started the games at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific in the NBA and the NHL. We've had a couple of NFL games today, lots of sports over the weekend to break down. So, of course, we got Jason Cameron in here to do it, and can't wait for a conversation. I've been thinking about it all day, and excited that we're finally starting. You got a day off too, you lucky guy. Did you just immerse yourself in sports all day?
Well, pretty much. And yeah, I was lucky enough, since I'm still doing this landscaping thing, lucky me. Anyways, it was too cold, so I was just like, all right, cool. So I got up in the morning, went to the gym, did my workout, got home, and then I was like, sweet sports. It was just a ton. So I watched a little bit of NBA. Before then I switched over to the NFL and just started watching all the football games. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we're at the end of the third quarter here in the sixth and final game of Super Wildcard weekend, and 5 blowouts, one close game.
Yeah.
This one is not close. Tampa Bay's up 25-9 on the Eagles, and looking like they are going to advance. And Philadelphia really flamed out, losing looks like 6 out of their last 7. And it was too bad. Not really many competitive games this weekend. Were you surprised?
The only game I was surprised at was the shocker for me was the Packers Cowboys game.
Right.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that ending of a complete and utter blowout by the Packers.
Yeah.
Utter domination. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was definitely a shocker. I thought Green Bay might keep it close, but I was expecting Dallas to win. Dallas had gone like a couple of years without losing at home. We're dominant all year long. Green Bay come in at the 7th seed, Dallas the 2nd seed, and you thought, yeah, I mean, this is right for Dallas to advance past the first round. As soon as the beatdown started happening, I was like, all right, Stephen A. Smith is gonna just laugh his brains out tomorrow morning. Rub it into the Cowboys fans like crazy. Him and Shannon Sharp are going to have a field day. I think everybody was utterly shocked that they just completely blew them out of the water.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was just like thinking about it, and I was watching the game. I'm like, this is not even close. No. This is not even close. This is a complete massacre.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with the Packers, their game plan, because they literally had the Dallas D on their heels the entire time. Oh. Because I think the defense didn't know, because of their scheming of what the Green Bay Packers were doing, they didn't know if they were going to run the ball or pass the ball on any down. Yeah. They had no idea.
I heard that Jerry Jones is putting in some adoption papers for Aaron Jones, and now he wants him. He wants to be his father, wants to be able to just move him into the roster. I guess maybe if you're he's your son, and you're the owner, and you're kind of the guy that runs the league, maybe you could just sort of bypass him and get him in there, because they could have used him. He racked up 3 touchdowns on them and broke their hearts.
Yeah, he sure did. He was running roughshod over them all game, almost 120 yards, man. Like, it's just, if I was Jerry, I'd be like, I'll sign those papers right now. Aaron, now my new son. Come here, son.
Who do we blame for the loss? I have my thoughts, but what about you? Who should be blamed for the most part?
I don't know. I think the defensive coordinator didn't do his job very well. Like, I think, like, what Green Bay threw at them, they should have been better prepared for that. Right. They should have been a heck of a lot better prepared for that. And I look at the defensive coordinator and then what they did to prepare all that week for Green Bay. Not good enough.
Yeah.
Not even close.
And Dan Quinn is their defensive coordinator, and he's been, highly touted former coach. A lot of talk that he will be interviewing for a lot of these open vacancies that have happened at the head coaching position. But after that performance, maybe some people are going to take a step back and think maybe we don't put him at the top of our list.
No, man, I would be hesitant. I would be taking a step back from that after that, because this is a team that was set up to go all the way.
Yeah.
And they got blown out in the first round. You're number 2 in the NFC, and you got stomped on. You got stomped on. So I would be going in a different direction personally.
Yeah. Do you think Mike McCarthy walks the plank for this?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. Jerry Jones pretty ruthless, but he did have a really good regular season. They were number 2. Maybe he might. He might.
Does the regular season even matter though in Dallas with this long of a playoff drought, this long since winning a Super Bowl, having so many seasons where they're one playoff performance and out one and done? Does it really even matter where they finish in the regular season? I think it's almost Super Bowl or bust now, isn't it?
You know what? I think you're right. Especially with like the way that their team was constructed, the roster, just how many stars they had on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They should have gone farther, and they didn't. They should have at least got past the first round, if not the second. And they couldn't even get past the first round, and they lost in spectacular fashion. So, not good.
Do you see him sitting down with the hoodie and having a conversation about the possibility of Bill joining them?
I just saw an Instagram post. It had Bill Belichick basically running into like some WWE music, right? It was like, oh, the hoodie's coming in. He's coming in right now. Like, so I can see it. Yeah. I can definitely see Jerry Jones having to sit down with the hoodie saying, can you fix this? Can you get us to the promised land? Because, I guess McCarthy hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. And the hoodie has experience doing it, although he did have one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever played the game, ever. But, yeah, I could see him going in a different direction, definitely, with the coaching change.
When you look at the numbers, it looks like Dak Prescott was okay because they racked up a couple of touchdowns late and made it respectable. But you can place a lot of blame on Dak, especially those 2 picks that he threw in the middle, pick 6. And there's been a lot of talk that he's just not the guy that can take him that step forward. And he has really choked quite a few times in crucial games in the postseason. Is it time to cut the cord and go in a different direction? They've given him many chances, and he hasn't been able to come through.
If they cut the cord with Dak, then who do they get instead? Right? Like they'd have to go swing for like a major trade, because it's not like they can get a quarterback through the draft because they were good this year, right? And the other thing that I saw was the problem, they brought it up in the telecast, was there seemed to be a disconnect between Prescott and CeeDee Lamb all game. Yeah. Even though like Lamb ended up with 110 yards and Prescott threw 400, but that was all garbage time stuff. Like the game was over, right? So I don't know what was going on there. There seemed to be something completely off with those two who were completely on for the entirety of the regular season. So I would wonder, is that fixable, right? Because those two definitely need to be on board with each other in the most important games of the season, which is the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed amazing. It just seemed like they weren't prepared. They didn't make a proper plan against what Green Bay could give them. Their defense was horrible. They just gave up a massive amount of yardage right away, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. It just broke down in every facet you could possibly imagine. Yeah, I mean, how can you run it back? How can you run it back just the way it is? Like, I don't see how you could convince the Cowboys fans that running him back is a good option. They've got to make some major changes, don't they?
Yeah, you would have to think so, because the other thing about the Packers is they're young across the board. Even their offensive line is young, but they're the ones that played like the veterans.
Yeah.
Not the Dallas D. Like the Dallas defense should have been able to take advantage of that, but that offensive line held up and they were stout the entire time, like the entirety of that game. So yeah, I think if I was a Dallas fan, if I was a Cowboys fan, not happy. I'm not happy, man. I'm just like, oh, something got to give. Jerry, you got to do something, buddy.
Yeah.
You got to use that oil money and do something about the damn thing.
Yeah, all we've talked about really is the Cowboys. We didn't talk about Matt LaFleur and a great game plan there. We didn't talk about Jordan Love at all. This is a guy that's sat in Aaron Rodgers' shadow for the first couple seasons, didn't get a chance. A lot of people wondered if he was the guy. He has really come on in that second half and has had a couple spectacular games in the last to really cement himself as a guy that you should keep your eye on. Aaron Jones we mentioned, but spectacular game from him. And this is the youngest team in the NFL, 24 years of age, and this win is going to propel them, give them confidence, give them that experience they need. I say look out for the Packers. If they don't win this next game, I still say look out for them in the coming years.
Well, yeah. Well, how about this? They're ahead of schedule. They're way, way, way ahead of schedule. And also, too, give credit to their coaching staff, which is like, no, we got a good team, so we're just not going to trade for anybody. We're just going to roll with this team that we have. And everybody else was like, you nuts? What are you doing? Like everybody's young. Like you don't have any experience, but apparently we know what we're talking about. You guys don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they were right? Yeah. And then they had a balanced attack too with their passing attack and their running attack. And Matt LaFleur is looking like a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Because again, as I said before, they had the Dallas defense guessing. Like they didn't know what they were going to run at any point in time in that game. That's what seemed pretty obvious to me. And that was Matt LaFleur's genius in that, by doing that to the Dallas defense, was one of the best defenses in the entirety of the NFL.
Yeah. I definitely want to dig a lot deeper into the NFL, but I'd like to just shift back a little bit to some of the other things over this weekend. As I mentioned off the top, this is MLK Day in the US. I really wish that we honored him in Canada as well. I hope at one point we can and we will. Tell me about your thoughts on Martin Luther King, and that it's nice that we recognize his birthday today. And he's such an important figure in the history of the world.
He is, like, he was just one of those supreme activists that we needed for change. He necessitated change, and that change is now you can see it like throughout all of society, across the globe, not just here in North America, but everywhere. And for myself as a Black man, I know how important that was for him to be there, for him to galvanize that switch so that everybody could be more on an equal footing. We're still not there yet, but that we're a lot closer than what we ever were. Yeah. And that just brings hope. That brings hope to all of us, and it brings hope to everyone around the globe.
Yeah. There's not that many people that we celebrate. We get a holiday for their life and their achievements. And, it's amazing what he did. Love hearing his speeches, love knowing all the things that he did. And it's incredible, facing life and death situations, having to, put your life on the line for the benefit of others is, such a self-sacrifice and incredible. And it's really nice that he's recognized and that they have this day. And also, it's great that the sporting world really celebrates it as well. What games did you watch today in the NBA? I kept my eye on some of them. Seemed like a lot of blowouts, so I tuned in and then watched a little bit. Blowouts aren't that fun to watch. Tuned out, tuned in again later on. Blowout, tuned back out. So, what about you? What games did you have your eye on today in the NBA?
I was basically just watching the one that was on earlier today, and that was the 76ers were playing
Houston, Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Houston Rockets. And so I was watching that in and out until the first game started for the NFL, and then I switched over to that. So I was just concentrated on that game. But there was like 10 or 12 games on today. So, but I was just watching the Houston Rockets 76ers game. That was it. That was mine.
Yeah, I watched that too. But Joel Embiid had 26 points at half. They were up by I think 19 at the half, and it was pretty much a done deal, and as far as I could see. But yeah, just quite a few shocking results today. The game that really blew me away was Memphis Grizzlies beating the Golden State Warriors. Memphis with Ja out, it just seemed like they were just going to completely tank and try to get a high draft pick. They had such a horrible start to the year. Ja came back and they had a little resurgence, and then boom, he gets a season-ending injury. And I just really didn't expect him to just be or them to be able to beat Golden State and other teams. And especially with Draymond Green coming back today, 16-game absence for Draymond. He finally came back. I thought that would really lift the Warriors and give them what they needed to propel them to victory. And they lost 116-107 today.
Yeah, but the Warriors got a lot more problems. It's just Draymond coming back and hopefully being that moral boost. Like there's a severe disconnect with that team, and they're just not playing up to the standards that they're used to.
Yeah.
I'll give all the credit in the world to the Grizzlies for gutting it out and getting a big win without their superstar and John Morant, because he's out with that shoulder tear or whatever, and he's out for the rest of the season. So good win for them. I did want to mention, though, I probably shouldn't have done this. I did switch over to Atlanta Spurs game for a second, and I believe the score was they're like 47-17.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, not this game. Switch back to the game I was watching.
Yeah, I did the same. I saw Trae Young hit a shot from just over half court. And I was like, holy crap, they are just stomping on them badly. And so like I said, every time I had tuned into any of the games today, it just seemed like blowouts after blowouts. And a little disappointing. I was looking forward to the Raptors, seeing how they would do against the Celtics. Unfortunately, they lost 105-96. And the other game I was really kind of hoping to watch, and I will later on after this, is the Thunder Lakers. Should be pretty fun. And then the Jazz Pacers, pretty good matchup. The game that was the closest today so far was the Heat just getting edged by the Nets 96-95 in overtime. So I'm looking forward to the highlights there. I didn't get to watch as much as I did because I was working, but it's going to be fun to see a lot of the highlights, especially 11-game slate and honoring Martin Luther King throughout every single game.
Yes, and I want to throw in a big shout out to the Pistons. Would you look at that? What a game! Oh my goodness! So I did want to mention that. It's like good old Detroit. I guess they must have gotten like that juice and that energy from the Lions winning. And they said, you know what? I think we could do that too. I think we could win.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that really seemed to boost them. And helped them out. They did make a trade yesterday, and I had some details down. I'll have to look it up in a second, but Detroit did make a trade with Washington yesterday, sending 2 players each way. And yeah, I'll give us the details on that in a sec. I was going to mention Memphis even received some worse news over the weekend. Desmond Bain has a severely sprained knee and is going to miss about 6 weeks of action too. So yeah, their win today just really was unexpected in my mind.
No, that's certainly unexpected. Since 2 of their top players are gone, you got no Steven Adams, so you got no rebounding.
No.
It's like you probably should have won that game. Like if that's a game that the Warriors should have had, was probably that one, and then the Warriors still can't win.
Yeah. They've fallen on some mighty hard times in Golden State, and I don't know what the heck. I don't know what the heck they're gonna do. Yeah, I think they probably got to shake it up with the trade.
Oh yeah, no, I think so. I think once that trade deadline is coming up, the Warriors are going to make some moves.
So Detroit traded Marvin Bagley III, Isaiah Livers, and future draft considerations. Pistons received Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala. Both teams severely struggling, and this was the move made. Detroit needed to clear up some cap space, and Gallinari and Muscala are on contracts that expire in this off season, so they're going to have the cap room that they need. They have only been playing limited minutes with Washington, so it seems like a bit of a dump, so that they can just blow it up completely. I guess get a huge, they're obviously going to get the top draft pick. They need to just break it down to the foundation, I guess.
Yeah. They need to re-brick and re-mortar and just redo this entire team. This squad is not very good. They're horrible.
Yeah. Bagley was the number 2 overall pick in the 2018 draft and has really disappointed for a guy that highly touted. Let's see if he gets a good shot in Washington and can really display what he showed in college.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's right. He was supposed to be good, and then it turned out that he's not very good. So yes, maybe he can reinvigorate his career. I kind of doubt it, but maybe he can do it. Maybe.
Okay, let's turn to the NHL. Vancouver Canucks are first overall in the NHL as far as points go. We've reached a couple games over the halfway point. They had a game started at 10 o'clock Pacific time today against Columbus. It was their last game of their 7-game road trip. They haven't had a 7-game road trip in 6 years, and it's tough. For going from the west all the way across the country to the east, and they've been gone for a couple weeks now, and they lost the opening game of the road trip. Then they won 5 in a row, and then today they were up 3-2 with about 5 minutes left, and Columbus scored, tied it up, and Columbus won in a shootout to beat the Canucks. So they finished 5-1-1 on the trip. All in all, a really good trip, and especially it vaulted them into first place again in the NHL standings. And I'm very impressed with them, but it looked like today they just ran out of gas. They did get stuck in Buffalo. Their plane was grounded. They had to stay in their hotel. Then they did quite the crazy trip. I think they made it up to Toronto and then waited a little bit and then flew over to Columbus. So it was a little extra tough on them. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a break over today's shootout loss.
You know what though? They got to number 1 on a 7-game road trip.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them credit where credit's due. It's amazing, because especially considering this point last year, we're not talking about them like this. They were awful.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no kidding. The other good thing about them being in first place at on this date is that Rick Tocchet has been the Canucks were first in their division, so all the division winners at this point in the season, all the coaches get to coach the all-star team, and so Rick Tocchet's going to be there, as well as 5 Canucks have been added to the squad. And so yeah, it's going to be a really fun all-star game. It's being held in Toronto this year, February the 3rd, so coming up in a couple weeks. And yeah, it should be fun to watch this many representatives for the Canucks there in Toronto. And Toronto's going to do it up really good this year. I think this is going to be one of the all-star games that we remember for many years to come. I think every hockey player, every hockey dignitary, alumni, everybody's going to be there, and I think it's going to be something super special.
Yeah, you know what? Like, well, it's our game, so we're gonna do it up right.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it up, and we're gonna honor the game like we always do. But this has got to be one of those rare All-Star games where how many times have we had 5 people go to an All-Star game off our team?
not very often, if ever.
Not very often, man.
No.
So this has got to be a big accomplishment for the Canucks. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited and happy that they're so well represented. Yeah, so the Canucks, Jets, Bruins, and Rangers were all division winners at the halfway mark, and so all their head coaches will be coaching the All-Star team. Great to see Winnipeg still up there, and even though Boston won today, they're still 1 point back, and Winnipeg's 2 points back right now of the Canucks. And Canucks' next game is Thursday, so they'll get a couple days off back home here in their own beds. They play the Arizona Phoenix Coyotes, and they're quite far back, 18 points back. So I think the Canucks should roar right out in their homestand now with the big win. So hopefully, yeah, we can stay in first place for a while and maybe push those teams back and get a big run in the second half of the season.
Yeah. Hopefully that they can do exactly that. And a good start to that is beating up on a bad team.
Yeah, that's always nice, isn't it? One thing I want to mention is last week I talked about Tiger Woods ending his relationship with Nike. I believe sort of Nike was the one that ended the relationship, maybe not Tiger doing the breaking up. There was a huge shocking news that now Nike is sponsoring LIV Golf and putting some money behind one of the big teams there. They are called Smash GC, and they're headed by Brooks Koepka, and they showed a picture of the new design shoe that they're going to be representing, and it looks awesome. It is one gorgeous, beautiful shoe, and supposedly that they were supposed to slash $2 billion off their budget, and they are putting a huge amount of money behind LIV Golf, this team, and some of the other representatives in the sport now. And I think this shocked most people out there, thinking that they were so aligned with the PGA Tour and Tiger, obviously, and to move and to align themselves now with LIV Golf. This is probably a very, very big decision, and I think a lot of dominoes will fall because the big giant like them has agreed to put some money towards LIV.
That's a huge move on their part. That's a huge move because they're looking at the trends right now, and if Nike is thinking the trend is going towards LIV Golf as opposed to going towards the PGA, that's not good for the PGA. No. Because then a bunch of big time golfers would be like, well, Nike's going to do that. Maybe I should be looking at LIV Golf a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. A lot of there have been a lot of announcements of sponsorships for LIV golfers. A lot of teams are getting sponsored, and a lot of individual sponsorships are coming. They were having some hard times getting sponsorships in that first season or two, and yeah, it looks like maybe like I said, maybe the world is shifting and getting them there. So, I did want to mention the coaching carousel that's happening in the NFL. And today, probably why you're wearing that shirt is Jim Harbaugh was talking with the Chargers today. He had his meeting with them. First guy or first team to try to woo him over to the pro ranks again. And that was exciting news for me. Such a huge leap up from Brandon Staley and that regime, and it'd be really great if Harbaugh makes that move and comes over to LA for the Chargers.
Could happen, but you know what they're gonna have to do? Money. Money talks. They're gonna have to pay that dude a lot of money because he's very comfortable where he's at with Michigan. It's like I'm sure he came in with all his Michigan gear going, boys, I'm living pretty good right now. So if you want me to come over, I gotta live better.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. Oh yeah, money will talk, that's for sure. Luckily it doesn't count towards the salary cap, so just fire the guy, 20-30 million a year. Whoop-de-doo, just pay him, and maybe he can start bringing this team up to the level that they should be at.
Exactly. And that's where they've been failing for all of this time with the Staley regime, was the team should have been way better than what they were. Yeah. And I think if you have a Jim Harbaugh, he can bring the best out of this team. Then all of a sudden the team is going to be, good, as opposed to not good.
Yeah, well, we'll see all the moves that are made. We talked about the hoodie and Belichick, where he's going to go. Obviously, there's still openings with the Seahawks, with the Raiders, with the Panthers, with the Commanders, and maybe in Philly here, maybe in Dallas, maybe some of the teams that really flamed out this weekend. Maybe the owners are going to start looking at Bill Belichick and moving him in, because their team just really didn't meet expectations. And there's probably actually a small list of teams that wouldn't want to have Belichick join them.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that team is probably pretty small, because that's a Hall of Fame coach who still wants to coach.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he's going to get a lot of phone calls for interest, because, well, he's Bill Belichick. Yeah. He's a winner. So, and I'm sure Jerry Jones might be one of those guys saying, oh, no, Mike's not doing it. He's not doing it. So, and yeah, so I'll be very interested to see what he's doing, what all the coaches are doing, what moves they're going to make for these teams, these organizations, and how this is all going to shake out at the end.
Do you see Pete Carroll getting a lot of interest as well?
Maybe. The thing with Pete Carroll that I see as a problem is his age. I think his age might be a little bit worrying for some, even though he looks like he's a spry 65-year-old, and he's a lot older than that. So I see that as a possible thing that other organizations would look at and be like, I don't know, his age is a little bit worrying, but I'm sure some will reach out. I'm sure some will reach out to him.
Yeah. I think there'll be some interest there, but once you're in, I guess, in your 70s, there's worry about, especially long-term contracts. Maybe he comes in and mentors his successor. Maybe there's a young guy in the organization that they're really high on, but they think maybe he needs a year or two. So but yeah, be interesting to see. There's there are some amazing coaches out there, and I think even the organizations that don't have an immediate coaching vacancy might still be kicking the tires of these guys.
No, yeah, definitely. I could see that happening.
Yeah. This is really gone, this game now for sure. It's 32-9 for Tampa. Chris Godwin just caught a 23-yard TD pass from Baker Mayfield. And this is over. Another blowout game. In Baker we trust. He's back. And holy cow, I'm pretty surprised by this result. I could see Tampa winning this, but I did not think it would be a blowout. And it's sad for the Eagles to go all the way to the Super Bowl last year, only lose by 3 points, and start 10-1 this season, really looking like the team to beat, and just have fallen off the map from here. I know injury troubles, but it just seems like everything just came crashing down over this second half of the season, and another flame out. Dallas and Philly, both from the same division, really did not live up to the expectations that were thrust upon them this season.
No, they didn't. They didn't. And it's weird, like, just seeing the dichotomy of the two teams, where you had Philly losing 5 of the last 6, and actually Tampa winning 5 of the last 6. Mm-hmm. And so I guess if you looked at just those two things, maybe then this is not a surprise. Personally, though, I still thought that this game should have been a lot closer. And it just, like, Philadelphia just never could get going, period. They just could never get going. And because of that, they were never really in this game.
Yeah. A.J. Brown was a huge loss. And, I knew that they wouldn't be able to, replace him. Devontae Smith has had a phenomenal game, but they needed AJ as well. I think they would have made it a lot more competitive. Okay, I'd like to go back to the first game of the weekend. The Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. Cleveland was coming in, highly touted defense. Everybody was predicting that they were going to win this game. They said a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach shouldn't beat a veteran quarterback and a team that was laden with incredible defensive veteran guys. And CJ Stroud just keeps continuing to amaze people at his poise, at his abilities. And this was not a close game. It was a shootout early. You texted me and said, look at this one. This is a fun game. And then, bam, CJ threw a touchdown, and then another and another. And wow, this game got out of hand. 45-14 final. And I think a lot of people were pretty surprised by this result in the end. Maybe predicting Texans winning, but not by this margin.
No, not by this margin. I thought, like at halftime it was like 17-14. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a great game. This is good. This is good. And then, unfortunately, Flacco has a tendency to turn over the ball, but these 2 interceptions that he threw were extremely costly because they were both pick sixes, one by Harris, one by Nelson. And that, especially after the second pick six, game over.
Yeah.
The game was absolutely over. It was a done deal. And it was the Texans defense that really showed up and showed out, as opposed to the Browns defense, because Stroud diced them up. He diced them up, and he showed that I may be a rookie, but I am really, really good.
Yeah.
Real.
Only attempting 21 passes, 16 for 21, 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. Very impressive. They didn't lean on him too much, which I really thought was great. And you mentioned to me over the weekend, he's missing a big weapon in Tank Dell. But Nico Collins was able to have a good game. Devin Singletary was able to great. And then their defense stepping up and getting those 2 pick sixes just turned the tables, and the route was on. We talked about the OTC off the couch. Joe Flacco, is it now BTC for him? Do you see him going back to the couch, or was this resurgence at the end of the year to get him in the playoffs enough for him to stick around in the NFL in a backup role, or with somebody that doesn't have a good quarterback in place.
I would say he's shown enough that he should at least retain a backup role somewhere. And if that's somewhere, it probably should be with the Browns because the offense reacted to him a lot better than what they did with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So like the guy that you're spending, I don't know, over $230 million that couldn't run this offense. And then the dude that came off the couch was just like, oh no, I can run this offense better than you. I just proved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have the results he wanted in the playoff game, but like if I'm the Browns, I would be keeping this dude around.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope they do. And yeah, I think it would be ridiculous to send him packing. He was the reason why they got there and were able to have this opportunity in the first place. Just he had a bad day, and so did the entire Browns team.
Exactly. He had a bad day. The Browns team had a bad day. The defense wasn't there, and the Texans had a fantastic day.
So Texans now face the Ravens, #1 seed, and I guess most people are going to say Cinderella season's done now. Do they have a chance? Do they have a shot against the Ravens?
I would say they do. I think they have a shot. I think this game could be a lot closer than what you think. But at the end of the day, I still believe that the Ravens will come out on top. But I think the Texans are going to give them a good run.
Okay. Okay, let's turn to the second game of the weekend. On Saturday, we had the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and this game was barely watched, and it's got a lot of controversy because it was only available on streaming options to Peacock customers, and this was only the second time in 50 years that an NFL playoff game wasn't available on free TV. The first time was a complete disaster, and according to most people that have sent in a lot of complaints, this was a disaster as well. Only viewed by something in the neighborhood of about 15 million people, and only 1 in 11 households would even have a chance at watching this. And this is something that's needing the NFL needs to sort of move in this direction in a lot of ways, because streaming has really become the option, people cutting their cable off. But I think it's a little ahead of its time. And so not very many people watched the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7 in kind of a surprising outcome in a certain sense, because these teams were both really, really great this year. But you said it early on, Dolphins can't win in cold weather. And that's the case. That's what happened here.
Yeah, exactly. They were trying to catch a rock out there, man. It was, I'm going to use Canadian terms. Sorry, Americans, because that's what I know. It was minus 31 degrees Celsius. Minus 31. I'm sorry. You can play football in that cold weather? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Nuts, yeah.
And for the Dolphins, they're not used to being like that. They're not acclimatized to playing in weather like that. They live in Miami. They're not. And so right there and then, that's not good for the Dolphins. Playing in weather like that is definitely not good for the Dolphins. So I personally thought that the Dolphins really didn't have a chance of winning this game. And it's not like the Chiefs were putting up touchdown after touchdown. They just consistently kept putting points on the board, which is something the Dolphins couldn't do. And then that's what ended up being their downfall.
Why didn't the Dolphins run the ball with Mostert and Achan the entire game? Why didn't those guys get about 40 carries amongst them and just tried to grind out drives? Why?
I think Mike McDaniels might have overthought the game a little bit, because I think he underestimated like the weather of the game, which is they're literally trying to catch a frozen rock out there. And the only person that really did that on a consistent basis on both sides of the ball was Rashid Rice.
Yeah.
That's it. right? So I don't know why the Dolphins didn't say, we're just going to run it. We're just going to run it down their throat. We're just going to keep running it, because that would have been a better play than what they decided to do. Because what they decided to do did not win them the game.
Yeah. It was so cold that Mahomes had his helmet break from a collision. I've only seen that on a couple of occasions in the NFL, and that was pretty surprising. He said the second helmet that he had was so frozen that it had no give. He couldn't even get it onto his head. He was getting so frustrated, and that was a lasting image that I'm going to remember for a long time. How brutally cold it was, and it actually even can bust helmets.
Yes, that's right. Like, I remember when I saw that, and I'm like, it's so brutal out there that the helmet broke. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, man. Oh, that's absolutely brutal. But Mahomes, being the gamer that he is, he's just like, I don't know, just give me another one, be fine, or just I'll use the broken one.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think he was thinking of putting the broken one back on. That cold was utterly brutal. I've been around it. I've been in it. I've worked in it, and it's just not football weather. Nobody should ever have to endure that kind of weather. And as soon as I saw that it was that brutal, I knew Miami was in trouble. They are winless in their last 11 games when it was 40 degrees or less. And this is not a good thing for them. They were 1 for 12 on third downs. They only had 76 yards rushing, 188 yards passing, only had 13 first downs compared to Kansas City with 25 first downs, much more yardage. And this was a pretty big beatdown by Kansas City over Miami. And moving on, now this sets up a pretty epic matchup between the Chiefs and the Bills. This will be Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game in his NFL career. He has played some neutral site games in the Super Bowl, but never on the road. And the Chiefs and Bills have had some epic battles in the playoffs. Do you think this shifts the favor much more in Buffalo's favor, being at home, finally being able to welcome Patrick Mahomes for his first road playoff game?
I think so, and I think the Bills are feeling pretty good about themselves, because they're on a winning streak right now, and they're playing great football.
Yeah.
And then also too, I'm looking forward to this game because both teams can play in the cold, and it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold in that stadium, so I'm looking forward to it. They're going to have to fight the elements, but both teams are conditioned for it. It's going to be a great game, man. It's going to be a good one, because they always do good games, these two teams, when they meet each other in the playoffs.
Speaking of Buffalo, they had to postpone the game there. They had to shift it to today. Last year they had a blizzard there, and 47 people died in the aftermath and during it. And so, very, very thankfully, the government stepped in and said that they will postpone it and put it to another day. The Instagram footage that you sent me of the stadium during the time when they were supposed to play was we wouldn't have been able to even watch it because you couldn't see a few feet in front of your face. So good move that they postponed it and put it till today.
Yeah, it was an excellent move, man. They actually even went a step further, and they put a travel ban.
Yeah.
So nobody could even go on the roads. Once I saw that Instagram footage, I'm like, "Is that the end of the world? Like, what has happened?" Like, it looked like Antarctica, and it looked like there was a stadium there. Just, I thought I was going to see a polar bear at some point. Like, that was nuts, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. And so they finally had the game today. Buffalo was able to be pretty dominant. They won 31-17 over Pittsburgh today. Josh Allen proved why he is one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Really had a phenomenal game. couple of 100 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He had 8 carries for 74 yards on the ground and another touchdown himself. And this is why you have Josh Allen, and a mobile quarterback that has this kind of size is a guy that's such an advantage in the playoffs. And today he really flexed his muscles and showed why he is one of the top guys in the league.
Oh yeah, man. Like he was incredible. Like he did everything you needed him to do to win that game, especially with that in the 8 carries for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. And then the touchdown that he scored was, I think, off a 52-yard play. And it looked like to me where he was just like, maybe I'll slide. And he goes, forget about it. I'll go.
For it, yeah.
He hits that extra gear. And you're just like, oh, man. He outran the DBs and the safety. And I'm like, okay, man, that's why he's the one. That's why they're touting him as, well, the next Jim Kelly, but not Jim Kelly, because they're hoping that he actually wins the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, man, he is that good. He is that good. And the one play though that I was super impressed with, that I thought that cemented the game, that won him the game, was Shakir, that pass to Shakir where he got in for the touchdown. Yeah. And then he weaved his way in, and he almost got tackled off the first time from one of the Steeler tacklers, managed to avoid the tackle, kept his feet, and sure did for the touchdown. I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
That was a great play by Shakir.
That was a great touchdown. Yeah. Severe will to get into the end zone. And yeah, I was very impressed and blown away. They set a record for the first time in NFL history that two different tight ends have scored touchdowns, have got touchdown catches in a quarter. And that was impressive very, very quickly off the bat. He threw a touchdown pass to Dawson Knox, then went to Dalton Kincaid. Then that 52-yard run that he had himself, up 21-0. It looked like, okay, the route is on. Then Pittsburgh blocked the field goal, but was able to march it down and get a touchdown. And it seemed like they were, the momentum had shifted and changed, but that Shakir touchdown really seemed to be the one that finally flipped it over to Buffalo and gave them that advantage.
Exactly, right. And also too, this is Josh Allen. This is his time to shine. This is where he usually does shine. And I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I'm just gonna say it because it needs to be said. You got Josh Allen against Mason Rudolph. Who do you think is gonna win the game? I'm pretty sure I know who's gonna win the game, and that's exactly how it played out.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Mason had a pretty decent game, but did throw an interception, and that was quite costly. They also had a fumble that was recovered, and yeah, Buffalo moves on. So titanic battle between the Chiefs and Bills. That goes Sunday, 3:30 Pacific kickoff. Very excited to see, to see that game. These two teams have been two of the elite teams in the past half a dozen years here, and this to me, this is the game of the weekend.
Sorry, what was that again?
The Chiefs Bills is the game of the weekend, I think, coming up.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. That's going to be the game of the weekend because they've given us so many good games already. So many, like I'm super excited. I'm super excited because first off, number one, you got 4 of the best quarterbacks left in the AFC period. These are the top guys that have played the best throughout the course of the season, and these are the guys that are left standing. So I'm excited to see what these guys can do, especially the Chiefs and Bills. They keep running into each other over and over again, which is what we're going to see for the next, 8-10 years, because the Bills are never going to let go of Josh Allen. The Chiefs are never going to let go of Mahomes. So they're always going to keep running into each other forever. Yeah. And which is going to be awesome. It's great.
It'd be amazing. Okay. Let's talk about the game between the Lions and the Rams. The only really tight game of the entire weekend. This was a great game because it pitted the two franchises that had traded their quarterbacks for each other a couple seasons ago. immediately paid dividends for the Rams. They won the Super Bowl, but now it has shifted to maybe favoring the Lions in a little way. It ended up being 6 players for 1 in that deal. There was so much talk that Stafford was way, way, way better of a quarterback than Goff would ever be. And Goff was able to get the last laugh and knock out the Rams in this one. And this battle was great. 24-23 it finally ended up. Detroit finally winning a playoff game since 1991. Great for that city, great for that franchise, and nice to see this team finally coming together after so many years of terrible play and mediocrity. And Dan Campbell has assembled this great group, and this was fun to watch and nice to see that they finally could get a victory.
I was so happy because like we've seen their evolution for the last couple of years. Them take another step and them take another step, and this was a very important step for them to take. And they didn't get it handed to them. They had to fight. They had to fight for it. They had to fight every inch for it. But that's the kind of team that Dan Campbell has assembled. A team of fighters where they do fight for that inch. They do fight for that extra centimeter. And I couldn't be more happier for the team. But they had to earn it, man, because Stafford had a fantastic game. 367 yards, 2 touchdowns, but it was Puka Nacua. It wasn't Cooper Kupp, it was Puka Nacua. Rookie receiving record for a playoff game, 9 receptions and 181 yards. He was an absolute stud, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to beat the Lions on this day.
Yeah, I was very impressed with so many aspects of Detroit. 2 of the players that were 3 of the players that were received in the Matthew Stafford trade were Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sam Laporta. Gibbs scored a touchdown, Laporta scored a touchdown, and Jared Goff was very instrumental in this game getting the win. And when you make a 6-for-1 deal, I think you really hope that it finally will pay benefits. And we see it 3 years later. The guys that have come over are very, very crucial and instrumental to this team being able to finally take that next step forward. And great for that city. That Detroit's had a lot of troubles in the past 10 years or so, and nice to see that fan base finally get something to cheer about.
Yeah, finally. Like I think at one point in time, it cut to a dude, an old man, that's been like, he was a fan for the Lions for like 56 or 60 years. Like he was actually at the championship game back in 1957. He's 89. And like, I'm like, he's probably the only person alive that's ever been there. You know what I mean? Like, and I felt happy for him because it's like, finally paid off. I knew. I just had to keep the faith. It took 60 odd years, but I got there.
Exactly. So great, and made me happy to see that finally happened for them. So a hell of a lot of great games over the weekend. The Lions now host the Buccaneers, and what do you think we're going to see out of that game?
I'm going to be honest. I think we see another Lions win. I don't think the Bucs might bring it close, but I think the Lions got a better team all around than the Buccaneers. And I think we're gonna see the Lions go to an NFC Championship game. Amazing. That's what we're gonna see this year, and it's gonna be absolutely amazing. Fans are gonna go nuts.
Incredible. That goes Sunday noon Pacific, 3:00 Eastern is for the kickoff for that one. And then we see the 49ers host the Packers. Great game by the Packers, obviously knocking off the Cowboys, but do they have a chance against the 49ers?
I'm just gonna say it the way it needs to be said, which is, oh no, 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 no. Okay, you did that to them boys. You did that to the Cowboys, but this is the 49ers. That's not going to happen this time.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of wizardry Matt LaFleur can draw up, but here's the problem that I know he's going to have. Because on offense, as I've said before, where you have them Avengers, all those dudes on offense, that's going to be really your problems. Like, who are you going to take away? You could probably take away one of those guys, maybe even two. But there's a couple other guys still waiting in the wings just to destroy you. So, yeah, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, those two matchups, Ravens and the 49ers both waiting, both getting that first round bye, getting healthy. Those two Saturday matchups might be not very competitive, but that Bucks Lions game, super excited for, and that Chiefs Bills game. So I expect the games on Sunday to be a lot closer than the games on Saturday. I'll watch them all, of course, but yeah, interesting that we're down to those 8 teams left. A couple of teams that nobody would have predicted off the top of the season being there, but yeah, great on the Lions for doing it. Great on the Packers for doing it. And we'll see some pretty good matchups. I'm hoping all of them are competitive. It's never good when there's blowout games. 5 blowout games out of the 6 this weekend. Not great for the NFL, for football, and for fans.
No, it's not, because like you want to see close games. And I know that we're going to probably have a year like we had, what was that, 2 years ago, where every game was within 3 points, which was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But just a couple games being close. That's all we're asking for. Just a couple, not all of them be blowouts. You know what I mean? Couple.
Yeah, let's hope. Okay, why don't we turn to the UFC and break that down? We had UFC Fight Night 234. There was about a month hiatus for the UFC, and they were able to put together this Apex event. We were talking about it on a preview last week, how it was a rematch for the main event after last time that ended so unceremoniously, and a really bad mistake by the ringside doctor. And we did get a definitive end to this one, and Magomed Ankalaev was able to knock out Johnny Walker. Nobody can make any dispute about who was the victor in this one. And looks like Ankalaev is on that rise and probably gets a title shot, if not next, the one after that. But it looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Johnny has his nose just splattered across his face after a couple of massive shots by Magomed.
Johnny, unfortunately, he came out super aggressive in this fight, right? But the way that he came out, he had no respect for what Ankalaev was firing back at him. I thought to myself as I'm watching this fight, I'm like, hey, he's going to pay for that. You can't do that. Like, if you're fighting the upper echelon in whatever weight category you're in the top 5, you have to respect what's coming back at you, because there's a reason why that guy's in the top 5. And with the way that it felt like to me, he was fighting reckless. That's what it felt like to me. And I'm like, you can't fight like that, man. Like, you're going to pay for that. And he got caught by Ankalaev, got sat down, and then Ankalaev destroyed his nose. And then it was over. So, yeah.
He has asked for a title shot. Alex Pereira is currently the title holder there. I think Alex and I think they've already got someone in mind already lined up for it. So he might have to wait for the winner there.
I think it's Hill. Is it Hill?
Yeah, Jamal Hill. Yeah, I think that's right. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. He has a winning streak of 12, and I saw the graphic, longest active unbeaten streaks in the UFC. The heavyweight champion has the longest, 19, John Jones. The welterweight champion, Leon Edwards, has the second longest, 13. The lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev, has also 13. And then Magomed has 12. And then Bilal Muhammad has 10. So, all killers, belt holders right at the top there. Ankalaev, really should be next and getting himself an opportunity in 2024 to go after the belt.
He should, although I don't know if they're still pissed at him over that Blachowicz fight. So I don't know if they're going to make him wait again, because they might, because that's what the UFC likes to do. It's like, well, you kind of screwed us on that fight. You remember that? Because we do. So we're not just going to give it to you right away. So I'm curious to see what they do, because they're going to have to make a choice one way or the other if he's going to fight the winner of that Hale Pereira, or is he going to have to wait and then fight the winner of the next fight after that?
Yeah, you're right. They do hold some grudges when you kind of screw them like that. So we'll see. I think he will probably fight for a belt in 2024, and we'll see how it pans out. Unfortunately, this card was dealt the blow of losing the co-main event when Manel Kape missed weight. He missed it by 3.5 pounds, and I guess Mateus Nicolau said, no, I'm not going to fight, and they scrapped it. This is the second time Kape has missed weight, so I don't think flyweight should be allowed by him anymore, and especially killing a co-main event slot. It was a really stupid miss, and I think he should be punished and have to fight at a higher weight class.
Yeah, I think so too, because the co-main event, that's a big responsibility, and you got to come in as a professional. You got to make weight. Now, since he's done that and he did that severe miss and kind of screwed up the card, yeah, I think he should be punished for that. And then, you know what? You're gonna have to move up, because you clearly can't make flyweight on the regular.
He missed against Odie Osborne before, and this was tough, because this was the co-main event. It kind of messed the card up and didn't get us delivering that rematch that we really wanted to see. So 50K was given to Magomed for one of the bonuses. Also, 50K was given to the winner of the co-main event that took over, Jim Miller, the legend at 40 years old, A10, got a huge, very convincing rear naked choke victory, and sets himself up for the possibility of fighting on UFC 300, 100, 200, 300. Seems perfect. Didn't take much damage at all, and looks like he should be put on that card. I would hate it if they didn't, because it seems to have been, a want of his, and then a momentum has really got behind him. And in April 13th, he should be standing there in the cage.
No, he absolutely should. It's like he's given enough to the company. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the OGs, and I think he's one of the ones with the most fights in the UFC. Like I think he's in the 40s or something like that, something ridiculous. So yes, they absolutely should give him that, because he's earned it. Yeah. Number one, he's earned it. Number two, in this fight, he looked incredible. Like I'm looking at him fight, and he's outstriking Benitez. Like there was at any point in this fight where Benitez was better than Miller.
No.
Like nowhere was he better than Miller. And I'm impressed because of the fact that he's not slowing down. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong. Like it seems like he can keep fighting for another year or two or three if he wants to. He looks that good to me, and very impressed. And it was just a matter of time before he was either going to be unanimous decision, or he's going to catch Benitez in something, which he did, which was like rear naked choke, face crank, whatever you want to call it. But he got the win, and I'm not surprised, because he utterly dominated this fight.
Yeah, it wasn't under the chin, but obviously felt like his jaw was going to break, so he tapped, and Dan Miragliotta pulled him off. That was his 26th win, his 20th submission, UFC records, 43 UFC fights. He has the 5th most fight time in the UFC history, approaching about 7 hours, and on and on and on. He's on almost every single longevity record out there. So great to see a guy that dominant, especially at 40 years old and with so many wars. Sometimes guys that have been that many wars, they start wearing down, and you see them really fading out. We see guys not really being able to be legitimate anymore. And yeah, what a great performance. I was very impressed. He beat Mowgli in every facet of the game, and got a very convincing win. And he jumped in there. He called out some fighters. He looked over and said, "Paul Felder, I want you." Felder was on the mic laughing there. That was kind of cool. He also asked for Matt Brown. Said, wants to really face a guy that's another OG that has some of those records that they've been sort of back and forth with over the years. And he also called out Brock Lesnar, which I thought was awesome. Very cool. And why not shoot for UFC 400, Jim? Let's go 100, 200, 300, 400. Let's make it happen. And he'll be really an OG by then.
Yeah. Like he'd be super great. Like everything would be great on him. But I love this call out for Matt Brown.
Yeah.
Because I sincerely thought, I'm like, that should be a fight that they should make for 300.
Yeah.
That should be a fight that should make for 300. Like, I'm like, I love that fight. That's something that they should make happen.
I also love seeing Cain Velasquez in the cage there. That is nice that he's still out and a free man. And let's hope that they go easy on him in the end when he does, and if he does get convicted and sentenced. Such a important figure in MMA, and nice to see that he's still giving back to the sport and he's doing things that he loves.
Exactly. Like as long as he can, he's going to do what he can and enjoy his freedom for as long as he can.
No. Okay, let's talk about the great battle between Ricky Simon and Mario Batista. This bantamweight battle was one of my favorite fights in a very long time. Two highly skilled fighters that really were very evenly matched. And I just love Mario Batista, what he brings to the cage. He really was great at stuffing the takedowns and being able to keep himself standing, and ended up getting the decision victory. Really fun fight. I don't love decisions too often, but this fight was great to watch.
This was a great one to watch. I thought Batista won this fight because he kept it in his arena, which was in the stand-up game. And he took away Simone's best attribute, which was grappling and the wrestling and keeping him down and stuff. And whenever he did get taken down, Batista never accepted the position and immediately fought to his feet, popped right back up. Yeah. Batista was absolutely amazing in this fight. Both men were incredible with their conditioning. Absolutely incredible, because this was an up and down affair. It was fought all the way across, but I thought Batista showed more will, especially in the third round, where he actually uptaked his volume of punches and strikes.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Simone was keeping up with that. It was beginning to fade a little bit in the third, because Batista was just really putting it on him. And I was super impressed with Batista's what he did in this fight.
Yeah, Batista was relentless, and I just thought, his takedown defense was really what swung this in his favor. I was amazed. He hit Ricky Simon with a flying knee. Simone just ate it and kept coming. Simone just kept like a dog on the bone going for these takedowns, but when he did get him down to the mat, it was just quickly back up, and he was really actually putting out so much energy trying to get these takedowns that I think he did gas maybe a tiny bit near the end, and I think that really helped Batista be able to finally take it on to him. really convincingly show it. When Simone picked up Batista, took him over to his corner and slammed him down, I thought that was going to shift it back in Simone's favor, but Batista really has great ground game and the ability to not accept being on the ground. He was able to get back up and get into space and show his superior skills in striking game. It was awesome.
That was awesome too. Like he was by far the better boxer of the two, and he showed that. And then yes, when he did go over and he did that huge slam, you thought that could be a turning point for Simone. But again, Batista showed his resilience and the fact that he was never willing to accept that position, was able to battle back to his feet and get the fight to where he wanted to be.
Yeah. He now has the second longest active winning streak in the division, and that's at 6 wins in a row. Merab Devashvili has 11, the number one. That will get him ranked, looks like 13th, and first time he's been able to break into that high of a ranking. He called out Rob Font, said, let's do it if you want to fight up and comer, and we'll see. That might be a bit of a step back for Rob, but you might as well shoot your shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was a good call out on Batista's part to take on Font, who hasn't been winning a lot of his last couple of fights, so he's kind of on the downward trend. Yeah. And so if he can just keep him going down, I thought that was a good call out on Batista's part.
Okay, I mentioned the two 50Ks that were handed out to Magomed Ankalaev and Jim Miller. The winner of this fight also got 50K. Bruno Ferreira was able to get the knockout victory over Phil Hawes. This was pretty amazing how he just kind of threw a glancing shot off the temple, and Hawes fell down, and then he just hammer fisted him asleep. It was one of those hammer of the gods kind of shot that put Hawes out for quite a while. He didn't wake up for 5 minutes or more, and really powerful. He is the Hulk. I almost thought he just turned green there and just threw that hammer down to finish that fight off.
But what actually led to Hawes being knocked down like that was the flying knee. The flying knee is what shook him up, and he never fully recovered from that. Right. And then once he took that left and he fell, and then he went Hulk smash on his face, and then it was over. Ferreira, great win, great convincing win against a good fighter in Hawes.
Yeah, those guys are both super powerful, and I figured there was going to be a knockout victory, and I was right. Nice for him to avenge his last fight, which was his first loss of his career. He has 100% finish rate, 8 knockouts and 3 submissions, and yeah, just really good display of judo, takedowns, and then power. He called out Bruno Silva, and I think that would be a hell of a matchup if the matchmakers listen to him and make that happen.
Yeah, that would be a great matchup. Great call out. Hopefully they make that happen.
The fight that kicked off the main card ended up being Andrei Arlovsky and Where's Waldo Cortez Acosta. The salsa boy did a little too much salsa dancing for my liking, Andrei Arlovsky's liking, and it's kind of ended up me just really not delivering on the kind of battle that I expected it to be. This was supposed to be the feature fight on the prelims, brought up because of the fall off of the co-main to the main card. Didn't deliver, unfortunately. I really was disappointed in this one.
Seemed like light sparring to me.
Yeah,
that's what this fight seemed like to me. Like it wasn't like light sparring. You know, like they were pot shotting each other. A lot of movements, and Cortez Acosta would sometimes blitz, and then Yeah. So anyway, so Cortez Acosta won. So yeah, man, that was great. It was,
Yeah.
it was a boring fight, man. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to not fall asleep because I was just like, oh man, wow, it's great.
Yeah, I actually think that was the last fight I watched. I watched them in strange order. I watched prelims, and then I kind of tried to watch some of the main card, and yeah, I was watching it all in replay, and then I saved the worst for the last, it seemed like. So unfortunately, it didn't deliver, and I thought it would be a fun fight. Two guys that have a lot of movement, are pretty good at that movement for big guys, and can get knockouts, but yeah, both didn't seem to really turn it on at all throughout the whole 15 minutes.
No, because like I'm used to seeing Arlovsky fight like that. Like that's how he survives, and that's how he can continue to keep fighting, right? Like I'm used to that from him. But Cortez Acosta should have done more.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I expected to see more from him, and he just did the same thing. So I was just like, wow, this is a great fight.
Yeah. Arlovsky turns 45 next month. He was the champion all the way back in 2009. Do you think we're gonna see him continue into his 45th year, 46th year? Do you think is he gonna finally be sent packing, or call it a career himself? What do you expect him to just keep at this for years and years and years?
Well, I get the feeling from Orlovsky like they're gonna have to kick him out. They're
Yeah.
just gonna have to, you know what? You're on a losing streak, so now you're out. And then that's probably how it's gonna end his career. Otherwise, he's just gonna keep doing this. Like I'm serious, man. Like he has given no indication that he wants to stop.
Yeah.
And also too, he can still functionally talk and stuff. He's not punch drunk or anything like that. You're not seeing any of those kind of signs whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he's probably just gonna keep going. It's the weirdest thing because you're just like, I, yeah, he can, and he wins sometimes. It's like I lose a couple, I win a couple, I lose a couple. Like, all right, cool. Let's just
Yeah.
keep going, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm shocked that he's still going, and yeah, you're probably right. They're gonna probably have to send him packing. He'll probably never hang him up if it was his choice.
No, I don't think so. I just don't think so. He's gonna keep going.
Okay, let's switch back to the prelims and talk about the featured prelim fight. Preston Parsons and Matthew Semmelsberger. This was a really good fight. Two super tough guys. Parsons was really trying to get it to the mat. He set a career high for takedowns, and put on a incredible pace. Semmelsberger is super tough, and has had a great MMA career, but just wasn't able to keep up with the pace and keep it standing. And this was definitely Parsons' night.
Yeah, it was that relentless pace that really turned the tables on Semmelsberger, who still fought really well,
Yeah,
considering that relentless pace.
yeah.
But it was that really turned the tides of this fight. That grappling, the effect of it. He just basically eventually wore Semmelsberger down and got the win.
I like his nickname, Triple P, Preston Pressure Parsons, but you can also say patient. So quadruple P, let's call him quadruple P. Man, the patience that he showed, and the ability and the pressure, and yeah, he lived up to that nickname. He was originally scheduled to fight Basil Hefez, and was able to switch to Semmelsberger, who's a lot older, and has, in my opinion, a lot more ability, and was still able to really impress and get the nice win there. So good on him. Really good, very good performance. Let's talk about Marcus McGee, who also got a 50K bonus. That's the fourth bonus that was handed out, only 4 on the night. Loved this performance. Marcus McGee is actually somebody that I think is going to rise way up in the ranks. He is 33 years old, but the Maniac, man, this guy knows how to fight, and he is super tough. And this was another great win. Very, very, very impressive.
He just knows how to pick his shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's very good at that, and he knows how to switch the pacing of the fight and the pacing of his striking and stuff. He's a very very powerful striker and a very good fighter at that.
Yeah.
And he was able to draw out a firefight from Bolanis, but on his terms.
Yeah.
And then that's eventually how he took him out in the second round. And I was just impressed, and especially with the fact that he hit him with a spinning heel kick, and then finished him off with the left, dropped him, and then got that ground and pound. Like, yeah, I was impressed, man. He's an impressive fighter, and I'm totally with you on that. We're gonna see a lot more from this guy going up the rankings.
Yeah, I think he's impressed the brass there at the UFC, and he's come in and really shook up the bantamweight division. And yeah, he's really accurate with his strikes. He has a whole repertoire, and yeah, he really was the superior fighter on this night, and very, very good. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight next. Okay, the fight between one of the Basharat brothers, Farhat Basharat, and Taylor Lapalus. Good fight, pretty fun fight. I'm very blown away by the Basharat guys. They are both undefeated, and I think it's look out for these Afghani boys. They are both killers, and I think it would be hard to accept a fight to fight either one of these guys. Ferocious Farhad Basharat, 12-0 now in the UFC, and yeah, look out bantamweight division. He's only 26, and he seems to have everything you need to rise up to the top of this division.
Yeah, and Lapalus is good.
Yeah,
like, he's real good, and Basharat just he wasn't discouraged. He wasn't discouraged by the fact that he kept, like, because Lapalus's his takedown defense was exemplary, but eventually he got tired, and eventually Basharat got to him. But it took a long time, and I thought Lapalus, the one thing that he was lacking in this fight was volume. He should have struck more.
Sure.
He should have been busier in there when he was standing, and I think that's where he was lacking throughout the course of this fight. And Basharat capitalized on that, took advantage of that, and then won the fight because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Basharat has really good takedown attempts, but great defense by Lapalus. Kept it standing for a really long time. Once Basharat finally did get it down, Lapalus was able to get back up, and but Basharat just continued relentlessly to try to get control and get onto the canvas. Went for some submissions, almost got it, but Lapalus was able to get it to the bell, which I really didn't think that he would. Partway through this fight, I thought for sure Basharat was taking it. Yeah, I've got to give Lapalus a lot of credit for getting it through the whole 15 minutes and getting it to the bell. That was very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. It was very impressive, but Basharat just he really exercised his will in this fight, because Lapalus is a very, very good fighter. Very good fighter.
Yeah. What do you want to say about the Gene Silva, Weston Wilson fight? Nice knockout to finish it. He was barking like a dog after it, and really seems to be super ultra aggressive, and got a nice KO victory here.
Yeah. The barking was cool, and I like the fact that there was no glove touch. But I'm gonna be honest, I thought Silva was clear, like Wilson was clearly outclassed in this fight.
Yeah,
like he was just clearly outclassed, and it began to show very early on in the fight. Like Silva's striking was way ahead of Wilson's, and it was just a matter of time. So
it was a bad mismatch. Vegas had it -900 for Silva. We don't see 9-to-1 odds very often, and Yeah, this wasn't a good matchup for Wilson at all, and yeah, it was inevitable that this would happen. He's from that Fighting Nerds camp, and I like a lot of those guys. And Silva, yeah, is really tough, and yeah, they made a mistake in that matchup, and hopefully he'll get a better more even classifier coming up. Okay, what about the Nicholas Iron Mota over the Tom Nolan fight? Tell me about that one. Mota ends up getting a knockout victory, and yeah, was able to yeah, really just very be able to get a quick victory here. This was yeah, pretty impressive by Mota there.
Yeah, Mota had great counter left hand punches on Nelson, and then huge power with his big right hand that dropped Nolan, and then was able to finish him with the grounded pound. Yeah, great win by Mota. Great win by Mota.
I thought he deserved 50K. I was kind of surprised that he didn't get it. Just was able to land very big bombs and swarmed him, took him out really, really quickly. And yeah, this was yeah, sort of a mismatch maybe in as well. Nolan is undefeated no more, super young though. Came in 6-0, only 23 years old, from Brisbane, Australia. I expect to see him back, and this this will probably actually make him a better fighter. I love Coach Ray Sefo, Mota's coach, and one of his teammates, Julian Erosa, should really be able to sharpen Mota and propel him farther in that lightweight division.
Yeah,
And do you want to make any mention of the Joshua Van Felipe Bunes fight? Van getting the knockout victory late into the second round.
I like the fact that Van always starts late. Like it's like it takes him a while to get into the fight. He usually always gives away that first round, but in the second round, then he kind of wakes up all of a sudden, and then he started pushing the pace really hard, and then ended up getting the knockout win against Bunes, and he ended it with a fury of headshots, body shots, savage ground and pound, big knees too as well that he was hitting him with. Like, yeah, once he threw the kitchen sink at him, Bunes didn't have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he won't be able to start so slowly against top ranked competition, but you're right. He lost that first round, but then after that, he really just turned it on and was superior and got a big, big victory. That was the very first fight of 2024. We're always going to be able to say that and remember that. And we've kicked off 2024. 2023 was one of the greatest years for MMA, UFC, and all around. And yeah, we finally have it kicked off. There are fights this weekend here north of the border, up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, UFC 297, and there are 2 belts on the line. Really looking forward to seeing Dricus du Plessis take out Sean Strickland and raise his arms with the belt. Hopefully Strickland moves off, it fades off into the sunset, and then we get to see Dricus against Israel Adesanya, and yeah, that's my hope.
All right. Well, first off, if Dracus does win, you won't be seeing Israel Adesanya because Adesanya has already been on record saying he's taking the year off. So that's probably not a fight you're going to see. Secondly, I personally think I'm sorry. I don't think Strickland's going to lose.
Oh well.
Unfortunately, I even though he's crazy. Like he's crazy. All right, but I think this is who the UFC deserves. I honestly do. I think that you always push for the person that is like, like he has a WWE persona. But now you get a person that's crazy. Period.
Yeah.
You just get crazy. So honestly, I think du Plessis is going to have a problem with Strickland with the way that he fights with that shoulder roll because nobody else fights like him. Adesanya had a huge problem with it.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best strikers in the division. I will be curious to see how Duplessis neutralizes that part of Strickland's game. I'm very curious to see how he does.
They had a fight in the crowd before Christmas, and this has stirred up quite a bit of animosity, which should fuel this all week. It'll be great to see the lead up to it, the press conferences and the UFC countdown and things like that. So no, I think Duplessis can pull this off, and my hope is that he does. I don't like seeing guys like Sean Strickland holding belts, and you're right, the UFC does deserve this, but we don't deserve it as true mixed martial arts fans and people that aren't crazy. And let's hope Dricus can pull this off and go on a bit of a run himself. The second belt on the line is the vacant women's bantamweight belt. This pits Raquel Pennington against Mayra Buena Silva. I think that Silva is just too tough, too strong. I'm leaning towards her getting a knockout victory here and raising her hand and getting the belt wrapped around her at the end of the night.
I agree with you, but I'm also going to say this. This has got to be one of the most underwhelming women title fights that I can remember in recent history.
Yeah.
It's not being talked about. Nobody really knows it's happening. I don't think anybody really cares that it's happening. Like, and it's sad to see, but that just means that these ladies have a chance to boost up like their notoriety amongst the fight fans.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Silva too. I agree with you. I think she's by far the better fighter. But hopefully she has an amazing performance because like the bantamweight division needs to raise up their notoriety because this is a very underwhelming title fight.
Yeah. The last time the Octagon was north of the border was here in Vancouver, and we saw a lot of Canadians really shine. It was a phenomenal card. I was there live, and it was great to see the momentum really rising as every Canadian was able to get victories on this card. I think the top Canadian in the UFC currently is Mike Malott, and he is fighting Neil Magny in a welterweight battle on this card. I think Malott is a potential future champion. The Team Alpha Male product is super talented all around, and I think he's going to really showcase, and I think he's also going to be that last Canadian winning, keeping that streak alive that he did here in Vancouver. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And if he can get past Neil Magny, who you could possibly say now is a gatekeeper, if he can get past Neil Magny, bigger fights are right around the corner then. Yeah. But he's got to pass this test first. I think he has the talent to do it, but he's got to do it.
Yeah. Another really great Canadian that's on the card, also here in Vancouver, is the Power Bar Marc-Andre Barriault. He's fighting Chris Curtis, and I think the Power Bar will just bring that relentless pressure that we've talked about earlier tonight, and he will just be able to wear down Chris Curtis and get his hand raised as well.
That will be the game plan for Barriault for sure. He's going to have to worry about the power coming back at him and Chris Curtis's sharp counters. Yeah. He's going to have to worry about that. But if he can weather that storm, he's going to win the fight.
The fight that kicks off the main card, Arnold Allen and Movsar Evloev, should be a great battle. Could potentially be fight of the night. Absolutely.
This is going to be a great fight. I think there's going to be a ton of grappling exchanges, and yeah, it's going to be a very good fight between these two. Very good fight.
Feature fight on the main prelims has Canadian Brad Katona fighting Garrett Armfield. love Katona and what he brings, and yeah, this should be nice to see him. Yeah, show his ability and his strengths, and come out swinging.
Yeah, he's a very exciting fighter. Last time we saw him in the octagon, he had a very exciting fight, and expect more of the same.
Charles Air Jordan is fighting Sean Woodson on this card. I had an opportunity to meet Charles in Vancouver here. Had a great chance to chat with him, and I think he's a very big up and comer out of Canada, and I think yeah, we'll see a great performance out of him as well.
Yeah, he's a very dynamic striker, and I'm looking forward to just seeing a great striking affair between these two.
Canadian Cyrilie Sade fights 10-1 coming in against Ramon Tavares. Looking forward to that. Seeing also Canadian Jillian Robertson fighting Polyana Viana. Yeah, just Canadian after Canadian after Canadian on this card. It's been great. It's great to see.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad that they have a plethora of Canadians on this card since it's out in Toronto.
Jasmine Jasdavicius also, Malcolm Gordon to kick off the fight. So yeah, let's hope. I think it's 9 Canadians altogether on this card. Let's hope they go 9-0.
That would be fantastic. That'd be great. Terrific.
Yeah. We didn't mention the Anthony Joshua Francis Ngannou fight last week. I was really kicking myself after realizing I hadn't. Tell me your thoughts on Francis finally pulling this off and really not being that one-hit wonder that a lot of people have suggested that he would be if he did leave the UFC and go after boxing and got to fight Tyson Fury. Now he's getting to fight another legitimate heavyweight, and this should be, I think this will even get more attention because of how he performed against Tyson Fury.
And I believe he's getting more money from this fight too as well. Let this be a lesson to those that believe that betting on themselves is the right idea. It is. If you have the ability, you got the talent, don't listen to Dana White. He doesn't control your future. Only you do. Only you do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier to see that he has totally wrote his own story, wrote his own narrative, and he's won. He's won. You know, so I'm looking forward to this fight. If there's one thing that Anthony Joshua needs to do is don't take him lightly, because that's what Tyson Fury did. Look at what happened to him.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that. I'd probably take this fight pretty serious, or else.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to regret it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I expect he's going to give Joshua a serious run for his money. I think you know, that just being able to hang with Tyson Fury, who, you know, in my opinion is a better heavyweight than Anthony Joshua, I think it's going to give him that confidence and you know, that thought that he could probably just turn it on. I think he really wanted to make sure that he didn't you know, gas out by the 10th round in this one. Now that he's gone 10 rounds with the best heavyweight in the world, I think we're going to see an even better performance from Francis Ngannou, and this could be just epic.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the one thing that he's definitely going to concentrate more on is that conditioning, that boxing ring conditioning, so that he's going to be fresher in the later rounds.
There was another boxing fight on the weekend that was super fun to watch, and I was pretty impressed with Artur Beterbiev. He ended up retaining the unified light heavyweights title with a brutal knockout of Callum Smith, 7th round. It was very impressive and really sets up the possibility of a fight between him and Dmitry Bivol, which everyone's clamoring for. Not a fan of Russian fighters, but I was pretty blown away by Beterbiev and this performance over Callum Smith, who's a super tough guy.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of that. It's a brutal knockout. And I am looking forward to hopefully they make that fight happen, because that's the fight that should happen between him and Bivol. Yeah, hopefully they make that happen, and nothing gets in the way of that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, Better BF's like 38 now, and this has to happen now. A lot of people have been, wanting it to happen for a while. He's 20-0, holds three belts, three main belts in the light heavyweight division, and Bivol has been able to, do a lot better than some people expected in his career. And this would be nice to be able to unify it. I love that it was in Quebec City and showcase Canada as well. Really good to see Canadian boxing still be so prominent in the world too.
Yeah, no, it's great to see, and Montreal has a rich history of boxing, and I'm glad that they had the match there in Montreal.
Okay, well, that's all for me for this podcast. Thanks so much for joining me as always, and lots of great stuff to cover. We're down to the top 8 in the NFL, and I think the matchups on Sunday next week have me salivating. I can't wait to be able to sit down and watch those.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the fact that you basically have the top 8 quarterbacks in the league left, and then you got the top teams. It's gonna be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. Really am.
Well, I hope it keeps very cold so you don't have to work, and you can just enjoy your time on the couch right there, and maybe just finally join us and our team. We need you. We want you. Everybody would love to see you. So tell your boss, tell the weatherman to keep it cold. Stay home until you can join our ranks.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm hoping for that. Hopefully that happens, and hopefully that happens sooner than later. Sooner than later.
Nice. Okay, man. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'm sure we'll text through the week.
You betcha, man. Take it easy.
Okay, you too. Bye for now. All right, there we go. Another podcast down. Another week behind us. We're into 2024. Wow. I guess I feel a little bit disappointed that there wasn't a little more competitive games in the super wild card weekend, but I guess the cream has kind of risen to the top, as they say, and a couple of upsets, a couple of teams that weren't supposed to be there that are, and maybe they can continue these upsets. We'll see. We'll see the two teams that had the bye and number 1 seed. You see if they can dispatch these underdogs coming in, and all those matchups on Sunday look phenomenal, and I can't wait. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching as always, and appreciate all your support. Appreciate your comments and likes and everything. And tell your friends, tell your family. Keep your eye out for our social media posts, and we will come at you a week from tonight. So have a great week ahead. Love you lots, and we will talk to you soon. Take care and bye for now.